Unless you're a lizard-brained Republican who doesn't acknowledge that racism or bigotry of any kind actually exists, you probably understand that there are a lot of people who have bigoted, prejudiced views of other races, and that can manifest in a lot of ways in terms of how they act, how they talk, and all of that. But there are some ways it affects people that even they may not know. We saw the results of this study being talked about by Vice, and we just have to jump into it. It has to do with the effectiveness of placebos based on the race of the doctor who gives them to you. So they took 187 white patients experiencing a laboratory-induced allergic reaction. So they got an allergic reaction while they were in the lab. And they had to interact with a healthcare provider who would give them a cream to treat it and then see how much it helped them. They were told this will cure the allergic reaction you're having, but would it actually? So the cream was not actually a treatment. It was an unscented lotion, and their interactions were completely standardized except for the provider's race and gender. And so here is what they found. Patients were randomly assigned to interact with either a provider who was a man or a woman, and either Asian, black, or white. A fully blinded research assistant measured the change in the size of the patient's allergic reaction after cream administration, which means that even the research assistant did not know what the purpose of this study was and had no reason to bias the results of how much the cream actually helped the allergic reaction. And here is where it gets kind of weird and bigoted. White patients had a larger placebo response to the inert cream when their providers were white or Asian males compared to either black or female providers. The white patients of black providers also had larger initial allergic reactions compared to those who had white and Asian providers. And if it's not clear what that means, we have to pause here for a second, because it is one thing for their allergy to clear up more based on whether a white or Asian male gave them the cream versus a black doctor or a female doctor of any race. That's already weird enough. But they had more of an allergic reaction when a black doctor did the thing to them. Like you could talk about like conscious racism and bigotry, and then sort of like subconscious or unconscious bigotry. But to the level of an allergic reaction, JR, that is fascinating. What do you think about that?
This is crazy. No, the first thing I thought, of course, because I think what we can accept and many people don't, is people have their biases because of how it's based in society, how you were raised, what you were around, what you experienced, whatever kind of trauma maybe you went through, and it connects to your brain to feel like, hey, that same type of scenario will come back and get me, or the negative. It's just survival in a way in some of these cases. So look, something like with a medical procedure, maybe you have an allergic reaction and your body's responding and it's trying to shake this. And then it then mixes with whatever biases you have based off of societal pressures and influences, right? So if you've always been told that, this certain person or this certain gender isn't smart enough or isn't good enough at anything that they do, you're not gonna trust it. It just deep down without even knowing that you're having these types of thoughts. And then there comes your rash getting bigger. And it might tell you a lot about how you came up. And this is where I think it stretches over to people that say and do horrific things. Maybe they're homophobic, maybe they're racist, maybe they're misogynist. And then when they come out and apologize for it, and the thing that's always missing from these apologies and self-reflection is, I think this way and I didn't know it. I need to address that so I can undo that and maybe be a better human being. That's the rarity of these types of things, because you have to change something. Because the reason why you're such an a-hole is because something was in you that made you think a certain way. I bet it's somewhere in me somewhere. I'm not sure who I have biases against, but I would love to find out what it comes out, and then you get a chance to maybe reassess that. But pride, I talked about it earlier on my show. Pride is a very powerful thing, and many people want to address that. But I mean, we have to accept that we have biases, and then it even could hurt you medically.
Yeah. Pride could be your downfall. This is interesting. There's a lot of other interesting findings in here. It was if you go to Vice, you can find the full article with a link to the full results and everything. We don't have time to analyze all of it, but it is fascinating. I really wish that in addition to just testing white people as the patients, I wish they had tested people of other races as well. Because I would love to see, we know about the concept of internalized racism, that like culture can get you to feel bigotry towards your own race. Oh God, I would love to see if that has an effect here too. But anyway, more and more women and people of color are becoming healthcare providers. So, like being woke might save your health, I guess. Doesn't mean you're not a racist, by the way. This is evidence that just because you're not shouting the N-word doesn't mean that you don't have thoughts or feelings, even if not conscious. So let's all bear that in mind.